Morning, guys. Oh, I know it's been a couple of days and I said I was going to do these more, but things escalated pretty quickly there. I mean, really got out of hand fast. I love that meme too. Yeah, so I've been trying to do readings, but it's just been, everybody's got the same reading right now because everybody's totally locked down. So, and if you're not locked down, you're sitting there watching it get closer and closer and closer and closer. I'm not actually locked down in South Carolina yet, but it's a little more each day. First the kids were home. Now stores are getting limited hours. We don't actually have a curfew yet, but the stores are already prepping for the curfew. Some of our local grocery stores are doing this really cool thing where they're allowing the elderly and the immune compromised to go shopping the first hour the store is open when it's at its cleanest, and only they're allowed in the store. So this is what I keep pulling up, guys. This is the Eight of Swords, and this is the Eight of Swords from all my decks. And I really wanted to bring it out because the Eight of Swords is the self-isolation. And this card has a lot of meaning for me. As some of you guys know, I had this whole thing go down back around Thanksgiving where I lost my shit for a little while. I was taking Chantix and I ended up not sleeping for over a week. And during this time, I was having an existential experience at the same time where I had moments of lucidness. And in those moments of lucidness, I was fighting with the universe because I know what I thought I wanted, and I was trying to work very hard to get what I wanted. And what I wanted at the time was to be, by this summer, able to travel around the country and read tarot at festivals. But traveling around the country is a very, very bad idea right now. But at the time, back at Thanksgiving, I didn't understand why I wasn't going to be allowed to have it. And I couldn't understand why the universe kept telling me to sit down and be quiet for 2 weeks. So the universe eventually just took me out for 2 weeks. I ended up in a hospital for 2 weeks, totally cut off from the world. So right before I went to the hospital, I actually took 8 railroad spikes and I did kind of a self-intuition ritual around my house for protection. And my representation of it in my mind was the Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords is being imprisoned, but not being imprisoned. It's about choosing to stay in the imprisonment. Like, there's nothing actually stopping anybody in these cards. Like, if she wanted to, she could wiggle right out of it, step out of the swords. If she wanted to, she could just get up off the ground, stop crying about it, and get out of the swords. If he wanted to, now this one I like. And this one, he's actually humbling himself in the swords. And sitting there and being reverent while he's doing it. This is the Eight of Winter. This is one of my fairy decks. And now, I like this one because this talks about the other aspect of it. And it says, you have what it takes if only you believe in yourself, thinking you're powerless when you're not, a lack of self-confidence that keeps you from getting what you want. So, usually I read this card as a self-imprisonment, and it's usually meant as something that you're supposed to try to overcome, like you're choosing to put yourself in this position. Now, when I was doing the ritual at my house, it was, I understood what my swords were around me and why I had to stay here and not move around and not move. And it was hard. And I know a lot of people right now are stuck in self-isolations and they're stuck in their homes, and it's very scary for people who are used to having outward energy contact all day, every day, to suddenly be isolated just with their own energy. And this is the time to do a lot of that inner work. You're not powerless. You're just focused in the wrong direction. You're focused on what you cannot do. You're focused on where you cannot go. And you're focused on the goals that you had that you cannot achieve right now because you're all stuck in this spot. And that's exactly where everybody is supposed to be. Because right now, and this has been actually going on for a while, and it's really why a lot of Aries had a really rough 2019. We had a Chiron retrograding in Aries, and we've had Black Moon Lilith in Aries for a while now. And Chiron, I believe just in the last month or so, started going direct. It never actually left Aries. It went retrograde in Aries all the way down to 1 degree of Aries, and then it's starting to go back forward again. And Black Moon Lilith is in Aries right now, and that is a lot of... Chiron is the wounded warrior, and it's about self-healing. It's about recognizing how your wounds created who you are and honoring them in a way that you help and inspire others to try and heal their own wounds so they're not bleeding all over everybody around them. And with those cycles, in this week, we also have the Jupiter and Pluto conjunction going on this week. And this happens in every 13 years or something like that. I think they said the last time it happened was in 2007. So you can kind of look back at 2007, and granted it wasn't this extreme because they're in the sign of Capricorn now and they were in a different sign then. But this is all a staging point for rebirth for a lot of people, for pretty much everybody. I mean, nobody is escaping this thing that's happening globally right now. And this is rebirth and expansion, like I explained on the new moon. Birth is a painful process. And it's not even that it's a painful process. I don't want to put that out there because I actually saw this morning about how so many pregnant women are deciding to give birth at home. And birth isn't so much a painful process. It is a chaotic process because giving birth, you really don't have any control. You can go to the hospital and the doctors and nurses and everything can be around you, but in the end, you really have no control. When I was in labor with my daughter, my son, I had an epidural, but it didn't work with, so I had pretty much natural childbirth with him. I'm not going to tell you it's not painful. It is, and it's very scary, but at the same time with my daughter, I had the epidural and her birth was smoother, but she didn't have all the complications her brother had. Anyway, the whole point I was getting at with this is they came in and asked me how I felt, and I said I felt a lot of pressure, and then they were just like, all right, well, let's just check you, and she was right there, and she was a meconium baby, so she needed the doctor to be there to suction her nose out as soon as she came out. And this woman actually looked at me and she goes, oh, and she closed my legs and lowered them to the side and ran out the room to go call the doctor, and the doctor was at her office 15 minutes down the road, and she got stuck in traffic, and she almost missed my daughter being born. The midwife was actually there getting ready to birth her. And it was just, there's no control in birth. That is a complete surrender to the universe to that your body and everything is going to work in a way that eventually the baby will come out. And the baby's going to come out no matter what you try to do to stop it, and no matter what you try to do to really move it along. Besides a C-section, there is no control when it comes to birth. And there's no control when it comes to rebirth. And that's really the message that we're getting from Jupiter and Pluto as they are leaving Capricorn and entering into their into their Aquarius cycle, which is going to be a new cycle. And this is all coming. I told you guys on the new moon, they were all at 25, 26, and 27 degrees right there. And that is the end. There's only 30 degrees per sign. So once they pass 30, they're going into Aquarius. And by the end of this year, we will be in a brand new cycle. So hope is coming, guys, and this will pass over. But for right now, it's time to shift your focus from what you cannot do to what you can do. What you can do, set up a new healthy routine. Do more activities with your kids since they're home. Find fun ways of getting your exercise. Come up with physical challenge. Make up games. Use all those toilet paper rolls you guys stashed up. Instead of just throwing out the cardboard, find something fun to do with them. It's really time to focus on what you can do. Start looking around at all the options that we have around you. And if you're stuck at home, there is no reason for you to be born. If anything, with this Jupiter and Pluto conjunction, it is about expansion. And I think this expansion is the expansion of our imaginations again. It's time to get a little childlike. It's time now that you've not had any chances to play in a very long time. And now's the time to play. You're stuck at home with all your family, bust out a board game. Play some games, make up a game. I like to take, I have a long hallway in my house, and I take strings and I tape them back and forth with yarn, and I make what's the laser thing, and the kids have to crawl through it and get toys on the other side and come back with the toys. And it's a competition, and they have a lot of fun, and there's ways that we can be finding fun ways of getting through this. If you're struggling and stressing out about your kids' schoolwork, don't. Do the best you can. Help them do the best they can. Remember that the teachers are doing the best they can. And everybody is in this boat with us. Everybody is in Eight of Swords. There's nothing we can do about that right now. And it's time to let go of what you do not have control over. Focus on what you do have control over. Like I said, if you're elderly and stuff like that, look for stores that are doing that hour open thing. You know, there's opportunities and there's ways around you. But if you're constantly focusing on how what you had planned isn't going to work out now because of what is going on, take some time to really shift your focus on to something creative and something fun every now and then to keep your energy and your vibration, your frequencies high. Remember, if you have kids in your home, watch what you're watching on the news, watch what you're talking about. They do listen to everything. You don't want to scare them as well. So, yeah. Eight of Swords is being trapped by your swords, and it's voluntarily trapping yourself in your swords, and you have your reasons why you're doing it. All right. That's what I got for cards and coffee this morning, guys. I will be back as soon as I can. Yeah, and I will talk to you later. If you like this, please like, share, subscribe, spank the bell to get notifications. And I will talk to you guys later. I already said that. Blessed be all those who walk these paths with me. Take care of yourselves out there.